not a gamer by any means. Could you imagine what it would be like for life to be inside of a video game? Or how courageous you would have to be a superhero or anything like that? Even if I had superpowers, it would be totally outside my comfort zone. I could not live inside a video game or be a superhero or do anything like that. It's just crazy. But that doesn't mean that we don't do things that aren't courageous, that take so much courage to step outside of our comfort zone all the time. So let me show you what I mean. Okay, so a little more realistically now, what would you do if you were asked to stand up in front of your entire school and give a presentation on something that you believed in? Would you be totally comfortable with that, or would you freak out and be totally nervous? So I want to hear, so put a thumbs up if you would be like, heck yeah, I want to do that. That sounds like so much fun with no fear or hesitation. Or if you're like me, give me a thumbs down in the chat or in the room if you would be totally nervous, not in your comfort zone. That would be so scary and you wouldn't want to do that. Okay, so do you know that there are going to be times when God asks us to do something that is totally out of our comfort zone? Now, they might not be as extreme as being a Superman, but it might be something like inviting your friends to church, or maybe giving your 10% of tithes and offerings back to God, or maybe it's standing up for your faith that would be super scary and uncomfortable for you. But what I want you to learn today is that we can trust God when He asks us to get out of our comfort zone. You see, there's a really cool story about this guy named Moses who was asked to do some huge things. God asked Moses to go to Pharaoh and release all of his slaves. Now, let me tell you a little bit about Moses first, okay? He was an introverted guy. He wasn't really a people person. At this point in his life, he was roaming around the wilderness with sheep alone all the time, right? And so he was an introvert, he stuttered, he had so many fears and insecurities, he worried about what the bad things that could happen all the time, and he really struggled to trust himself and God in these moments. Put yourself in his shoes, okay? You're Moses. You're wandering around in the wilderness looking for a sheep that got lost, and all of a sudden, bam, you hear this voice coming from a bush that's on fire. But it's not actually burning up, which is super creepy at the same time. And it's God telling you to go to the president of Egypt and demand that he release all of his slaves. Then, not only does he want you to do that, but once the slaves are free, he wants you to lead all of those people to a distant land that he says that you're going to claim at that point. But other people claim it. I don't know about you, but if I was Moses, I would be totally freaked out about that too. Honestly, I probably would have been freaked out with a bush talking to me, let alone I would have been out of there not hearing anything else that came across. But this is what God asked him to do, and that would have taken so much courage. And I know that he was so afraid. If he was here with us today, he would have given us a total thumbs down because he was scared about everything that could happen, and he didn't think he was capable of doing all the things that God asked him to do. So I want to look at what his reactions are in the book of Exodus. So go ahead, open up your Bibles, pull out your YouVersion Bible app, and let's read chapter 3, verse 11. This is how it goes down. But Moses protested to God, "Who am I to appear before Pharaoh? Who am I to lead the people of Israel out of Egypt?" God answered, "I will be with you, and this is your sign that I am the one who sent you. When you have brought the people out of Egypt, you will worship God at this very mountain." But Moses protested, "If I go to the people of Israel and tell them, 'The God of your ancestors has sent me to you,' they will ask me, 'What's his name?' Then what should I tell him?" God replied to Moses, "I am who I am. Say this to the people of Israel, 'I am has sent me to you.'" Now go to chapter 4. So flip a page ahead. Chapter 4, verse 1. But Moses protested again. "But what if they won't believe me or listen to me? What if they say, 'The Lord never appeared to you'?" Then the Lord asked him, "What is that in your hand?" "A shepherd's staff," Moses replied. "Throw it down on the ground," the Lord told him. So Moses threw it down the staff, and it turned into a snake. Moses jumped back. Then the Lord told him, "Reach out and grab its tail." So Moses reached down and grabbed it, and it turned back into a shepherd's staff in his hand. "Perform this sign," the Lord told him. "Then they will believe that the Lord, the God of their ancestors, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, has really appeared to you. Now skip one more time down to verse 10. But Moses pleaded with the Lord, "Oh Lord, I'm not very good with words. I have never been, and I'm not now, and even though you've spoken to me, I get tongue-tied and my words get tangled." Then the Lord asked Moses, "Who makes a person's mouth? Who decides whether people speak or do not speak, hear or do not hear, see or do not see? Is it not I, the Lord? Now go, I will be with you as you speak, and I will instruct you what to say." But Moses again pleaded, "Lord, please send anyone else." And so all of chapter 3 and chapter 4 are filled with this kind of conversation. Moses was afraid. He was scared, and understandably so. If I was him, I would be just as afraid and unsure and uncertain. But you know what? God knew what Moses was capable of. He knew, just like he knows what we are capable of. So maybe for you, you think that you could never invite somebody to church because, even if you did, they wouldn't say yes. And if you got the courage to do it, they would just think you're so weird and wouldn't want to hang out with you. But you know what? God knows that you can. And when you do and you build up that courage, maybe they will come and maybe their lives will be changed. Maybe you think that you could never stand up to that bully or try to protect someone else from them. But God knows you're capable of it. Maybe you think it's super scary to pray in front of other people, maybe even in your group. But then once you do, even if it's really quickly, then you realize, you know what, that wasn't so scary after all. Whatever God is asking you to do, He's gonna be with you every step of the way, and He knows that you can do it. And you know what, you may still be scared, or you may have some questions, and that's okay. Because you know what, God can handle your doubts and your questions. Moses had a lot of them, but we see how God handled them with grace and reassurance and confidence. So it's okay to come to God with your doubts and your fears because He understands them. Because Moses had God with him every step of the way, he was successful, and Pharaoh let all of the slaves go. And because he said yes, even though he was scared, so many lives were changed as a result. So what's your first step in obeying God and doing what He asks you, even if it's stepping out of your comfort zone? I know it might be scary, but it's gonna be so worth it, and He's gonna be there every step of the way. And just think about the lives that can be changed, just like Moses did, if you say yes and you be brave to taking that step to trust God and do what He asks us to do. So, will you say yes to when God asks you to get out of your comfort zone? I hope so.